Hey girl, hey. This week, I'm gonna be honest, I have been working on my business and not necessarily in my business as much. And the crazy part for me is when I do this, I usually feel like I'm being unproductive. Because if I'm not working on client work or sales or something, like I feel like I am not being productive in my business. But this week I had to fight through those feelings and I actually fought through a lot of feelings. Like I felt all the feels this week. Like I was happy, I was joyful, I felt seen for the first time in my business. And then I felt a lot of sadness. I felt scared. Scare has really been the biggest like emotion and feeling that I've felt in this process. So if you follow me on Instagram at Sane and Co over on Instagram, I put in my stories this week, and also I even put out a reel briefly talking about this. And so I'm going to do just a quick recap where I was basically saying, in therapy, because I am an advocate for therapy. I love my therapist. I love going to therapy. Like I be thinking like, child, I didn't even know all this stuff was going on with me. I didn't know all this was wrong with me. Okay. So we always working through something that I'm always so surprised by. But this week we talked about, I told her, I said, I really struggled with networking my business. And so she put it into perspective for me. She literally said, I'm not connecting my business to who I am as a person. And that is why I struggle. And so when she said this, it was really like an aha moment. And I was really kind of surprised. And then she kind of starts to describe who I was as a person and then started to describe what I actually do in my business. Not how I talk about my business, but what I really do in my business. And it was an eye opener, it was an aha moment. And so my therapist, she always takes this end of the year holiday break. And so after the session, I kind of felt like I was left on this cliffhanger. I'm like, what do I do? How do I process this information? Because there is more to this, and I don't know how to get to the root of it. And so I had to take it over to ChatGPT. And man, I was even like when I was doing the chat, your output in AI is only going to be as good as your input. And so I had to get really detailed. And also, I'm like, this is what we talked about. This is what she said. I need to understand this on a deeper level. I need you to act like a psychiatrist, life coach, all of these things. I'm like, I need you to do these things and I need you to dig deep and I need you to dig deep with love and I need you to go in and ask questions. But we really need to be introspective. Like I need to get this out. And when I tell you ChatGPT had amazed me, I was like, some of this stuff sounded like some stuff she would have said. And so it was asking me questions, and I had to be honest with these questions. And so, of course, it ended up being deeper than just connecting my business to myself, but also basically saying, I haven't had the real identity of my business this entire time. And so, which is fine because we're in a season of evolution, we're in a season of new levels. And so, this is like the perfect time because Sonia and Co will be 5 in January, okay? And so, this is the perfect time. It's December. This is the perfect time for me to now start looking deeper into this. And so I spent days working on this. I mean, answering the questions, digging deep. It took a lot of energy. It took a lot of honesty. Even ChatGPT was like, "Sane, this is the first time you're being honest." And when it talks to you like that, it cracks me up. But it was like, this is the first time you're being honest. And so it basically said, I built this business on a corporate type style, which I mean, that's all that I knew what to do. And this is kind of what I was told to do in some instances. And so, but the truth is, when I really started to dig deep into what I love about my business and all the other things, it really does change how I talk about my business. Because when I talk about what I genuinely love in my business versus what I usually say, it's two totally different feels. So, this is me being honest and just being truthful. I talk about strategy, I talk about segmentation, I talk about the numbers, the metrics. And if I'm honest, that's not the stuff that I care about. I talk about that stuff because I know I have to let the world know that I know what I'm talking about. And so, have you ever found yourself doing that in your own business? Is my passion has been, and I think will continue to be, is that I genuinely love the aesthetic of creating these emails. Even when I think about what I do, my absolute favorite part is having this idea and bringing it to life. I look at email as art. I look at every email as a canvas, and I absolutely get so much joy when I sit down and I start that creation process. From that idea to writing the copy to creating the designs and putting it and like putting that thing together. When I tell you that that drives my spirit and my soul, it makes me so excited. I The feeling is from when I talk to women. One thing I've always done on consultations is ask them why did they start their business. And when they tell me this passion, they have this deep connection to what they do. There is something about that story that makes something come alive in me. And so when they tell me what their visions are and what their passions are, and usually it's I don't have the words of how to say this. I am not the creative type. I don't find joy in creating this type of content. For me, that's where I get activated. That's where I come alive. It's like you have this vision, you have these ideas, but you can't bring it to life. This is why email is my canvas. And so then, I'm able to make it sound exactly how they would have said it without them ever being able to put it into words, and then to create this look and this visual appeal that just oh my gosh. Because then you start getting the emails and the text messages from clients and they're like, oh my gosh, Sonia, I love this. Oh my god, it sounds just like me. Oh, I wanted it to look like this. Oh, I just love it. That right there is where I get my satisfaction. That is what drives my spirit and my soul, and I feel successful. And so with all of that being said, like if I could talk about the art of the email, that's where I get hyped. That's where I get excited. I don't get excited in the mundane of just like the technical stuff of talking about it. It is creating that. And so I feel like I've been afraid because now that I've recreated the brand identity for my business, I have to now lean into that because that is what makes me excited. I get excited about creating campaigns that are centered on email and not necessarily just emails. I do like to create. I like creating I like creating the merchandise that matches that aesthetic. I like creating the flyers that match that aesthetic. So Sonia & Co, we are evolving, and we are evolving into really kind of focusing on campaigns. But it is really about bringing your vision to life in this medium, and that email will definitely still be the center because that's my thing. Like I do it and I do it well, okay? And I love doing it. And so I love when you come to me with your visions and you need somebody to bring that thing to life. You have a campaign and you need somebody to bring it to life. That is what I love, and that is what I'm leaning into more of, creating the aesthetic. I love the visual. I love making it look good from top to bottom. I don't like just writing copy. Like I like putting together a beautiful email. When I tell you, when I create them beautiful emails from the clients and they be like, oh, I love this. I'd be like, girl, yes. And I'll be just sitting there, just keep looking at that email like, oh, it look good. Oh my God. It's the little details that I know other people may not even notice in the emails that just bring me to life. And it's not just in my own emails that I feel like this. I look at emails all the time and I'll be looking at like the little details, and it's always so crazy to me. I'll look at an email for inspiration and it'll be something so small that captures my attention, and it brings a spark into me. And now I'm creating content off of something that I saw, a small detail that I saw in somebody else's email, and not necessarily even recreating anything that looks like that, but it was just something about that brought this spark to me. It all came down to I'm an artist and I need to let the artist in me thrive. And that is the reason why Sonia & Co hasn't always felt connected to me, because I'm an artist and I got to let the aesthetic rock, baby. And so that's where I'm at. Again, I went too long from this video. This video was supposed to be like 5 minutes. Listen. So if you know anybody who has campaigns and you're like, I have a vision and I'm ready to bring this thing to life in an email, maybe even some social media flyers, even some merchandise, or even printed flyers. Listen, tell them about Sonia & Co because we still do what we do, but we're just, I'm just evolving and I'm just taking ownership and giving myself permission to lean into what I really, really love and what I really, really enjoy. I hope that you find some inspiration in this, that you can also lean into your passions and lean into what actually gives you joy. And sometimes we just need that permission to help us move forward. So this is your permission, girl, to lean into your joy and into your real passions. All right, girl, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.